nothing visible wrong with the car there.
So taking nothing away from Elliott in pole position. Sairama, is it, in second?
Siama, yep.
Siama, and should be a good race. A couple of MGs up the front, MGB style cars, one a GT, and the other one the soft top. Away they go. Nicely away from the line. The Triumph Stag in amongst that lot as well. They come down into turn
one,
around into turn 2, up to what we call turn 3 this weekend, being on the long circuit. And Chester has come out onto the grid, so
okay, so
Chester at the moment stone motherless last. But
we've got a spinner there, car 8,
turn 3,
and everybody's managed to avoid him. He stayed on the black stuff.
It's Vernal having the spin or knocked around, whatever happened there. I think he might have got a bit of help. And now just watch Chester now already starting from the pit area and already making inroads up to the slower cars at the back as they head up towards the old tank corner. And it's still Elliott, Sairama out front, Rogers, then Vernal, of course, got spun around and he's back a few places. And the lead that he's got on this around the top end of the circuit there.
See another car there down through the twiddly bits off on the green stuff, just making its return as we've got quite a gaggle of cars heading up the old back straight, about to turn left onto the new section, or newer section. I guess it's not new anymore. It's been there a number of years now.
The new section, it's been there for 15 years now.
Chester is certainly moving forward.
So 15 is not running, according to an observer. It's 1-4-1. Okay. Okay, 55 still really the lead.
Oh, look at Chester just down the front straight, having to weave left and right as he works his way through the traffic. Down into turn 1, makes his way into turn 2. He's got a couple of cars side by side arguing for the track. Which way is he going to go? He's elected to stay on the outside down into turn 3. Holds on to, no, he hasn't made a move at all on that, but I expect that he will jump past these two guys as he heads up towards the sweeper. Right foot to the floor and thunders through, up into 8th, around, works his way around the outside, making sure he's staying on the black stuff.
There's no points for getting out of the grass this weekend.
No.
It takes some time getting up through the top end of the circuit. The cleavage end, we call it up there.
It would be so easy to just put a couple of wheels off in the edge there a little bit and find yourself losing way too many places. So just taking his time, picking them off as he can. Got plenty of power under that right foot. Jumps past another car up as the back straight, hooks it to the left onto the extended part of the track. And just look at that car power up that new section. Bobby's Triumphs there, working his way up the back, the Triumph TO7, and then we're back with a couple of MGs there. Car 45, which is
unusual car at 22 that you see getting around there. It's an MG Saloon, and it's a MG ZS180, which we didn't get here. Might be wrong. It's a 2.5 litre engine of that. It could be the small V8. Not too sure on it, but they did make a V8 of that model.
yes, well, when MG was taken over by Walkinshaw Racing, they made some rather interesting quad cam engines for the cars that they were under their production line at that time.
They did too, Phil, and we're looking for lead car is way up the top end of the circuit now. He's a long way in front of everybody else. He's doing 136s against the next car at a 142. Then we've got Chester doing a 142, but I think he's getting held up by traffic.
Yeah, he's already up into position 9, so good movement through the field. Taking it very cautious, as one might expect. A car that's so fast, you could find yourself up the inside of somebody and really surprise them. End up with a big moment. So Triumph works his way down the outside, not going to be able to get around the outside of the MG on that occasion. Car 33 onto the start-finish straight.
TR7 on the screen at the moment there, the yellow car. They actually had a big series for those many years ago, the TR7 series.
They did indeed.
And many a driver got to start driving one of those sort of cars. Not a huge seller here in Australia. I was actually selling them brand new, but not that many sold. Very underrated sort of car. As we watch the top end guys going through the cleavage area up the top there. And as I said, that car 22 going through the Illingsworth car, he's making inroads as well in the car number 1, which is Tratham, a little MG midget, who's harassing the MG V8 model car. So he's going to go around the outside if he can. It's a long way around there.
Trying the old under and over, I think, Ron.
Yes, but I think the horsepower of the car 15 will peg him back as they go up the long straight.
Yeah, just and car 1 tries to come back under brakes, but not able to do it.
Yeah, it is.
Gets close for the. Oh,
very close there.
He was so close there, but he's going to lose position, I think.
Okay.
No, he's able to outpower the other car there. So down the front straight they come, and Chester moving through the field, who's about to come into that little group. Car 72, look at the glorious paint job on that car. Beautifully presented vehicle. Up through past the old start finish. Car 22, Hillingworth in position 4, so he's the next one in the gun for Chester.
Chester pulls up behind them on the big sweeper up the top there before we get up to Tank Corner. And he's really picking them off as they come up into this group of cars here. He's about to get past Sakama there and the other MG V8.
Trathan beautifully around the outside, gets a little bit of a break as he comes down into that really tight right-hander onto the start-finish, the old back straight. Got a good gap. But Chester opened the taps and away he goes. Hook to the right and then back to the left and down the inside. Takes 2 positions on that run up the back straight. Doing it pretty easily indeed. And now finds himself in what I think is going to be about position 3 on track. The next time they come past the start-finish line, we'll be able to tell you that.
As you say before, Phil, beautifully presented car. Its colour scheme is absolutely magnificent, very distinctive. Car 83 going through there as one of the smaller MG F series cars.
Yes, well, Chester actually is in position 2, so he's only got one more position to catch up to. I don't think he's going to be able to reel that one in. Quite a gap between Chester and Elliott, way out in front. There's some 27 odd seconds gap.
Well, Elliott's coming down the long back straight, so
well, we have got 5 laps remaining.
He's got a little way to go, yeah, but whether he'll catch up in 5 or 6 seconds another way, very hard to do. Easy to say, but very hard to do.
He just needs to get onto some of that fast stuff, the green.
My word.
Wet, slippery grass is nothing faster. Certainly when you weren't expecting to be going on it.
Well, Chester is pretty much equaling Elliott's time. Chester has got the fastest lap, though. I think 0.5, I think it is there. So there's not much in it.
Not a lot in it for outright time, best time, but that gap, as you say, it's quite a margin. Will be very tough to reel that one in. But I'm assuming that this is a progressive grid, like you finish in position 2, the next race you'll come out and start from position 2. Chester started this race from the pit lane and has made his way through to position 2 on track. Now with a 1:32, so he's certainly the quickest car out there.
Chester's car is getting a little smoky. I noticed he was easing off, going over the old start-finish line here.
Smoky.
Smoke now, it's really getting quite bad.
Yeah.
So maybe he's overstretched it a little bit, trying to catch up.
Could be.
I hope he's keeping an eye on that oil pressure gauge. Because what we say, when it stops smoking, it's run out of oil.
That's the one. Van Wall getting through there in the silver car.
They're very quick, those little cars. They have a big series for them in the UK. All very similar looking sort of cars. So it's the little touring car model that we don't get, little hatchback. So a great little motor car. Many a person started their racing career in a little MG midget or an MG or a Sprite, Austin Healey Sprite, MG midget, very similar looking cars, just typical BMC badge engineering of the day.
Absolutely. Well, my older brother Colin, he started hill climbs in an Austin Healey Sprite, a Mark II, and Chester pulling off the track, so he's not gotten to the finish.
We put the Moz on him.
That blue. Yeah, there's that smoke that we saw on has caused him to retire.
Yep. I didn't know whether he may have got a flag for that. I'm not too sure. We didn't see it from our end here. Anyway, that's a shame. It's taken the zoom out of the race.
It has, but if it's something that's fixable, he'll be back again from the back of the grid tomorrow, and we'll get to see him work his way through again.
A lot of rags come to the action then, I think. Wipe it all down. But that brings Trathan up into second place in car number 1, which is the little MG midget, little 1310cc's in that car, and that was getting them out pretty close to the edge of the ball. 1310, you could probably go 14 something else, but 1310's pretty safe way to ball them out. The lead car now is picking up. Oh, we've got someone off the Boondocks here.
Car 48.
Car 48, and that is Anthony Volgerbert in a MG Rover ZR.
Yeah, well, there you go. He's found out how fast the car can go on the green stuff.
Let's go through a bit more mud.
Bounces through the mud and then back onto the black stuff.
Doing a bit of rallycross.
Ooh, a little bit of tail flick there from the Sprite, and car 48 off again.
Oh, so not a replay.
No, not a replay.
Yes.
That's a.
Might be time to give it away after all that. Anyway,
that's Tony Vollebrocht. So Jane Vollebrocht used to run in hill climbs and circuit racing, doing a bit of sprint meetings and whatnot. So. One of the family running in the MG. So we're very close to the end of this race now, with Elliott still well in front with a 44.7 second gap. Here we go with the replay of the Vollebrocht machine bouncing through the green, looking for the black, coming back on. Eventually we wander down, trying not to get bogged. Oops, we'll pull up there, and we're back on track.
Well, he's got it going again. That's the main thing. All right, we've got our leader, Elliott, of course, at a 1:34.6 back to Tracer with a 140. So good. Don't think it's too much catching up there. We've got one lap remaining that I could see there.
Yes, they're very close to the end now, and I'm not too sure where Elliott is on track, but he can't be very far away, I don't think. He's on the final lap now.
Because the MG Car Club, of course, which a lot of these people would be members of, is one of the biggest car clubs, certainly in Victoria. I know that. They've got a very big membership because it's spread over all the different models of MGs, MGFs, MGTDs, all that sort of thing. And here's our lead car, car 55, on screen as we speak. Nice big bulge on the front there to usually take the carbies on the centre of the engine.
Is it carbies or fuel injected on that car?
I'm not too sure. Fuel injected, but it's got a power bulge, as we call it. So he's certainly on his way to a well-earned win. No pressure from anybody at the moment. So his 134.6 best lap is something like 6 seconds in front of the next guy. So he's slowing down a little bit, I think. I hope he hasn't done the Moz, because he's not going as quick as he was.
It's interesting, though, that pardon me, Chester in 72, the car that retired, has still got the fastest lap of the event of 132.7.
There's the flag.
And the flag is out. So Elliott is the winner of the event. Quite a gap before Tratham comes through. We've got some of the other cars that have been lapped coming through the finish at the moment. Here comes second place, Trenton in his MG. Jumps onto the brakes for the second last, and now the last corner, hooks it to the right. Nice and steady as you go. A 51 seconds gap, so quite the gap from first to second. So Garima in third. Just waiting for Illingworth to come through, and that will round out position 4. There's Illingworth now. So, Ron, as you were saying, the MG Car Club, there's MG Car Clubs all over the place, and this year the Australian Hill Climb Championship will be run by the MG Car Club of Newcastle, and so that'll be quite a good event up there at just north of Raymond Terrace in New South Wales.
Very interesting to watch. Yes, the MG group do all sorts of weird things. They had a Victoria or Australia, I think, Victoria, Australia, the Rob Roy people against the English MG people at, they were not Shelsley Walsh, but they all get together, and when the Australians go over there, they loan them a car to drive.
Yep. And similar
Prescott,
when they come
Prescott
out.
was where they went to.
Prescott, that's right.
And they compete against each other. The Australians have done pretty well in that sort of event.
Yep. So we've just seen the results come up there on screen too, Ron, while we were chatting about that, and so we've got quite a few doing well, and all the way back, but a few that were +1 lap.
Yes, absolutely. They were. So thank you to Dana for bringing us that event.
Phil's got a MG. Could you tell us a little about your car, Phil?
Sure, it's a 1972 MG BGT, originally out of Sydney. I've had it for about 6 or 7 years now. 5.6 litre Rover V8, around about 600 horsepower. Hollinger sequential and all the bells and whistles, yeah.
And you're part of MG Racing. How long have you had this, and how long have you been racing it for?
I've been racing MG since 2012. Started in an F, a cup car, and then progressed to a V8 in 2018, I think it was. The block's out of the UK, and I think the heads are as well originally. But yeah, it's a Rover block. Yeah.
And MG Racing, what do you like about it?
Oh, everything. The camaraderie, we have such a variety of cars. We look after each other on track, and we have fun. That's the premise. We're out there racing hard, but the priority is to bring the cars back and ourselves back as we went on track.
No worries. Well, look, thanks very much for your time.
And Simon Elliott here on pole before the race started in the beautifully presented RV8 that he's just not long finished putting together. So slowly learning the car and developing it as they go. Beautiful looking car as it sits on pole as we wait for the start. And off they go.
I noticed that he didn't, on his entry form, put how big the engine is.
Oh, look, they're all about 5 litres, the big Rover V8s in the open class.
I thought that might be the case because the MG BGT was 3.5.
3.5, yeah. In fact, Danny Siama there, who just in screen number 15 there, that is an original MG BGT V8 from 1973, I believe. Still sporting an MG Rover gearbox and standard-ish MGB brakes. So there is definitely some fairly original cars out there. We see Tony Vollerman, having a bit of a battle with Jason Edwards in the MGF there through the windy bits. Oh, and Paul Vernal having a bit of a go with John Illingworth there. Unfortunately, just leaving the track. Hopefully, they can rejoin safely.
Yeah, well, I don't think Illingworth would be too happy about that.
No. Look, there might be some words later on, but racing's racing at the end of the day.
Yes.
Well, I think we've just seen Gordon Bunyan there off the back of the field, who missed out yesterday. I believe he shot home to fix the car, and he's back on track this morning to have a bit of fun.
In the Triumph Spitfire.
Yeah, in the old Triumph Spitfire. Gordon's been running that car a fair while and slowly developing it along. So shame he missed out on yesterday, but good to see him back on track today.
It is. I used to race a Spitfire. I've got to go down and talk to him. That might be even my old car.
Well, there's not a huge amount that's original in that car as far as I'm aware, but I believe that car is Group S spec as well, so it is still fairly original in the sense of the Triumph roots. Again, an invited car as we see the TR8 there just leaving screen. As we watch John Illingworth and Trevor head down the front straight.
So
quick
here's the
replay
of the Illingworth clash.
Paul almost getting squeezed out there a little bit, not quite enough room on track for 2 cars by the looks of things.
Luckily, it looks if they did hit, there's not much damage.
Yeah, a little bit of car contact there, but look, nothing that a few friendly handshakes won't sort out later on. We see on screen now Vince Gucciardo, who's actually borrowed a drive of this little MGF from Phil Chester, out there having an absolute ball in the underpowered MGF, if you will. He's given Chris a bit of his, Jason, excuse me, a bit of a go here. The 2 MGFs run around the tight bits.
Well, they'd be having a ball. They wouldn't care about who's in front of them.
Look, they're a lot of fun to drive. I used to own one of these little MGFs, and again, the old 160 horsepower, and rear engine, mid-mount rear-wheel drive. If you overcook it into a corner, they can talk back to you pretty quickly. But generally, they're a lot of fun. You're right.
Yeah.
We see John Macon there just ducked through the screen in the little midget. John's owned that car for many a year, and just in the last few years got it recommissioned. So it's great to see John out there having a ball.
So we've got Elliott leading Tritton, Kiama, Zawar Deven, Volterbricht, Edwards, and making them in the top 8.
David Badgett really putting the pressure on Vince here. He's really making Vince work for it. The little 1275 MG midget, I believe it's still a 1275 anyway. Alistair giving it all to Hank through turn 1 and 2. Putting the pressure on Hank as John Macon might make a bit of a move here on Alistair into turn 3. Or not quite. Tucks in behind nicely.
Now our program is wrong, and is that TR7 got a V8 in it?
No, it does in fact still have a TR4 cylinder, I believe. It's about 2 litres from memory.
Yep.
Yeah, fairly worked engine in the sense of the 4-cylinder, and Alistair absolutely pedals the hell out of it, so he's having an absolute ball as well. Just gapping John a little bit through the sweeper there.
The weird thing with Leyland, and they did it with MG Mitchells, they had the 1275S in the Cooper, but they didn't put it in the sports car.
Yeah.
And they had the Dolomite Sprint engine, but they didn't put that in the TR7.
That was bigger again, wasn't it? Yeah. And
So
as we
I've
get a
no
good look
doubt
there of
he-
Simon Elliott absolutely handling this thing through there.
We've got a car with a loose bonnet that's been reported.
Yeah, look,
There
give you a
it
bit of
is.
insight. That's all carbon, and it looks like one of the front bonnet pins just come loose. There's a
Yes.
fair bit of air that's getting under that. See if the tower want to pull him in for that one, or they might just let him go if it's safe. There is 4 bonnet pins. It looks like it's going to hold together for the rest of the race, but we'll see how they go. That'll be a bit disappointing for Simon. He's out front. He's just done a 134, which is pretty reasonable for a lightweight little MGB V8.
Particularly as it's 6 seconds quicker than anyone else.
We could almost have a pit lane and fix it and get back
I
out and
was
stay
just
in
about
front,
to-
I reckon.
I was just about to say that.
See-
In
see
3
what
laps, he's
evolves.
17 seconds ahead.
So a bit of history on that car. That is actually an ex-MGB rubber nose. So
well,
in
that's
the
a
previous...
good thing to do to a rubber nose.
Yeah, look, in the previous ownership, there was a bit of an incident, and they rebodied it as an RV8 and made all fiberglass paneling for it, and it is as presented today in beautiful metallic red. And Simon's done a brilliant job of getting that car on track, and you have a look at the detail in the engine bay and the detail in the cockpit there. He's just done a really good job.
Yeah.
Oh, Hank really feeling the pressure here from Alistair. Alistair's really making him work for this position, I'd say, as John's just making advantage of them slowing each other up. Hank's been with us a few years now in this campaigning this little MGB Group S spec car for what it's worth, and yeah, he loves getting out and having a good old steer of it.
Well, again, they're having their own little dice and having a ball out there.
Certainly
That's what it's all about.
Hank's just done a 145, and Alistair looks like he's lapping it. He's lapping at 146s, but he has done a 144. So really putting the pressure on Hank and making the Group S MGB work for it. The Flying Dutchman, we'll call him. He's out here in Australia. He's from Holland, and always wanted to go racing and got involved with MGs through family and friends, and he's hasn't turned back. So absolutely loving it out in the MG racing. A lot of camaraderie in the garages, and a lot of assistance from each other, and it really makes for a good fun weekend as Alistair really puts the pressure on through too.
He is.
You see
All
Tony
over
Vollerbred there go into 3 in the ZR. Now that ZR is very, very highly developed. It's probably one of the highly developed ZRs in the series, putting out about 200 odd horsepower and some serious suspension work that's gone into that car to get that thing lapping at the early 40s. And the TR7 just sliding out through the sweeper, putting a bit more pressure on Hank. See if he has a go into the cleavage here. He's up the inside.
He's
Hank going to leave
trying.
him room? No, he's closed the door. As John just sticks to the end at the back of the TR7 there. The midget will be pretty light and sprightly through those tight bits. The TR7, I would imagine, would be a bit of a handful.
I don't think so. The TR7s, if they did anything wrong, was handled well.
Okay.
That's why they did well in rallying.
There you go.
Yeah. It's really the lack of power.
Fair enough. I was going, well, more in comparison to the B and the midget, I'd say. But yeah, interesting to hear. As John has a go around the outside.
Oh, can he pull it off?
Yeah, I reckon he'll give it a red hot go. John's a very good
Yep,
steerer.
there he
It's,
goes.
again, a very, very large, small four-door sedan, if you will, the MG, running a front-wheel drive V6. And he's got this thing absolutely flying as he winds back through the field from his little incident earlier on lap 1. John, it probably needs to say that John and a few others in the field here, Jason and and a few others have actually made the effort and made the trip over from South Australia to enter this event. So we obviously see a lot of entries from New South Wales and South Australia, obviously in Victoria. So it's really good to see a classic historic race meeting getting some entries all around the country.
Yes, and we welcome them and thank them for their entry. It's good to see them.
Well, it's a big drive, I'd say, from South Australia. A bit of effort, but no, it's great. It's great that they make the effort, and they support our category a fair bit. These are South Australians, so we really enjoy their support and love the camaraderie as they bring it over with them.
Do you race interstate, or is it all in Victoria?
No, look, we are a national category, but generally once a year we have an interstate round. So this year we actually ran last round. We were at Tailem Bend, had a fairly good turnout at Tailem Bend, and had a lot of good racing.
And how many meetings a year?
Look, generally we have 5 or 6 rounds a year. On the odd year we have 7 rounds, and part of the points you'll drop your worst round, so it gives people an opportunity to miss a round if they have life or other commitments. So yeah, it's a really good category. It's been going on since about 1986, believe it or not, since the MG Car Club started MG racing, and obviously in modern years we've just tried to continue the legacy. As John puts a bit of pressure on Vince here as he winds his way through the field, pushes Vince to the inside and coming down the back straight.
Well, let's see. With the braking, no, he can't. He takes it. So the bigger engine wins out on that little
Yeah, he's stuck that one out. A bit of commitment there from John. Might be a bit of red mist in that helmet, I'd say, but good on him for pressing on.
All right, we're 7 of 8 laps. Our leader, the reason you haven't seen much of him is he's 35 seconds ahead of the car coming second.
Well, very capable lightweight thing, that RV8. They've obviously let him continue with the bonnet just flapping a little bit. Yeah, it wasn't too unsafe. John just brings it back up into position 9 there as he's winding his way through. Jason Edwards is another South Australian on screen now, brought over that little MGF. These MGFs, again, something to think about. They're a really cheap, fun way into modern racing, and although we're not a historic category in the sense we, these cars are good 15, 20 years old now, so, a lot of cheap fun to be had out there.
How cheap's cheap?
Oh, look, realistically, you're on track for under 10 grand. So it's one of the cheaper ways to go racing these days. Again, with the cost of living going up and all this chit-chat about expenses, you've got to have your hobby, and that's a cheap way to do it. So this is why we're starting to see a bit of a return of the MGFs and the TFs. They're all out there. And a lot of these cars have been race cars since they left the factory. So a couple of the cars, MGFs out there specifically, are ex-Japanese one-make series cars that ended up in Australia. As John just takes another foot off as he comes onto the back straight, probably putting a little bit too much pressure on. And there's Simon, who's just taken the checkered flag, I believe.
Just short of lapping the Spitfire.
Oh, it is the last lap, excuse me, as he comes through for the last lap.
So it will lap the Spitfire.
He'll take Gordon in the Spitfire around the sweeper if he's kind. He'll follow him through. A bit of a gentlemanly cause. Simon's obviously a fair bit quicker than the rest of the field, so as it comes to the last lap, he'll be backing out of it a little bit, just taking it easy on the last lap, cooling things down, giving a few guys a few extra laps, or the extra lap, excuse me.
Well, I don't know whether he'd cooled it down. He's 41 seconds ahead.
He's definitely pushed.
Yes.
Great sounding car too, the big open V8 5-litre Rover. He's running a sequential in that car as well. So as he comes over and takes the checkered flag now. We have Mike Trathen following down the back straight, I believe, in coming through for second.
It's a long wait for second.
It is. Look, that midget of Mike Trathen's is a very developed midget. Not much MG midget left in that one. He's really pushed the envelope with the MG midget side of things. It's great to see. We had a few years where there weren't many midgets in the field, and again we've had a bit of a resurgence with the MG midgets and the sprites from Group S and invited British cars. As Mike comes over to take the checkered for second.
Bit of a wait for third.
I believe that's Danny just coming onto the front straight now in the MGB GT V8. Originally a Group S spec car that's been slightly more developed for MGs as he comes over the line to take third. as Anthony Volibrant there in the background comes over the line, followed by Alastair on Darkchi in number 5. Excuse me, Don Bartley got number 5, and Alastair's back into 6th. John Makem in 7th. John Illingworth has made it up to 8th after his little incident, and Paul Vernal in number 9 as Hank Zwatoveen comes over in number 10. Jason Edwards has passed in 11, and Vince Cusciato's finished up in 12. That's it from MG Racing for this morning. Winton's put on a beautiful day for us. Wouldn't know that a couple of hours away is snow, but beautiful day here at Winton, and we thank all the officials and all the other commentators for a ripper weekend.
Thank you very much. We'll see you back this afternoon.
Ooh, bit of a jump.
And there we go, off and racing.
Could be interesting whether that jump will result in a time penalty.
Well, I wonder if he's just got a bit of an odd start there too. Oh, Paul Vernal putting on a bit of pressure into John Illingworth on the first lap again. Be interesting to see how it evolves there. As Tony Volibrant leads that little pack.
All nice and clear down the old start-finish straight into turn 3.
Hank Zwatoveen just ducking into the back of Paul there, trying to keep in touch with the modern ZR. The old midget and MGB just a couple of car lengths off the two modern cars there. They're almost colour coordinated, 2 yellows, 2 greys. Oh, Vince Cusciato putting a bit of pressure on John Makem on the first lap. Throws it up the inside, he'll give that a red hot go. Doesn't make it stick.
Yeah, fairly tight down around the twiddly bits at the bottom of the track.
Well, look, they're a bit of a handful, these MGFs. Once you learn how to drive them, they're a lot of fun, but the mid-mount rear-wheel drive can definitely play havoc if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, the swap ends very quickly, I'd imagine.
There's David Badgen, the little midget, little Group S midget, puts a bit of pressure on Vince. Makes him work for it. Ducks it up the inside, and the MGF just have a little bit more power down the back straight, I'd say. Winds him through.
Going to wind it out. What's going to happen under brakes at the end of the straight?
Very close racing there. Brilliant stuff. A lot of pressure on the first lap on cold tyres as well.
Absolutely. It's don't be too brave on those cold tyres. You might find yourself exit stage left or right.
Ooh, as Tony makes a move into turn 1.
Volibrant, but he's not going to be able to hold that line, I don't think.
No, Alastair's kept it there.
Yes, he's done it around the outside through the S's. That was a great move.
Well, front wheel drives come into play there, I'd say.
Yep.
Look, fairly similar matched cars, although they're completely different dynamic. The front wheel drive and the rear wheel drive. As John goes up the inside of Alastair as well. Left the door open there a little bit as Paul gets in the mix.
Going to be trying to go 3 wide round the sweeper. That's not going to work too well.
Oh no, they'll give it a go. Nice clean racing in MG Racing.
It is. They're keeping it close, but full respect to each other.
As Paul just takes the inside of Alastair there into the cleavage.
Great stuff. Volibrant's still doing well. He's keeping those guys behind him.
Paul's made that little move stick from Alastair as Alastair just sticks to his bumper and tries to get the drag out under the old back straight.
Yeah, Tower 7, great looking car there, and the bright yellow powering up the back straight.
Yeah, unfortunately, Keith Ondarki in the Monster Stag is not here this weekend. He's had some other arrangements, but it'll be back out soon. One of the world's fastest stags, I'd say, that one. As we follow Hank Zwatoveen and John Makem, followed by Vince and David Badgett just tagging on the end there, still holding on to Vince. Keeping the pressure on.
Absolutely. All line astern as they head up the start-finish straight.
Hank's starting to wind Alastair in by the looks of things. We'll see what evolves there in the next lap or two as John Makem puts a bit of pressure on Hank.
Yeah, a bit of difference in the appearance of those two cars, with one with car 33 there with the flares and car 36 without.
Yeah, so the MGB's a fairly Group S type MGB, whereas the Midget's a bit more of an open, slick type car. Again, still running an A series with fairly standard suspension. But a little bit bigger footprint with the tyre makes it a little bit easier around these tight little windy bits. We'll see if he gets alongside Hank here. He's put it on the right-hand side to go on the inside, coming onto the old back straight.
Not up on him,
ducked behind there.
And of course they'd be a little bit lighter than the MGB as well.
Would be, yeah.
Would be probably 200 or 300 kilos maybe heavier. I'm not too sure about that, but
looking at that, probably a very similar power to weight, I'd say, between the two.
Absolutely.
As you say, great looking car. John's a sign rider by trade and sporting his own company there, but presented the car beautifully as always. Always been a very nice car. As Hank just drives away down the back straight, I wonder if he's got a problem there. Oh no, John's caught back up again. Again, the power of the MGB just walking away down the back straight.
And a little bit more grip and handling from the Sprite. Is it a Sprite or a Midget?
No, it is an MG Midget, this one. I believe that it was an original MG Midget. It was turned into a race car back in the 70s, and John bought it as a race car and recommissioned it and it basically presented it as it is today. Had a few years off racing, John Makem, and yeah, last year I believe he got the bug and got back into it, and absolutely loving it out there. So having an absolute ball trying to chase down Hank and make him honest as they head into the sweeper.
Trying to throw the old lasso out to catch him down, keep up with him down the straights, but once he gets to the curly bits,
yeah,
he's
absolutely
able to close that gap. Meanwhile, out in front, Elliott with the fastest lap time of 1:34.7 is well and truly the fastest car on track.
I was having a chat to Simon earlier, and you know, early on when he got this car on track, start of the year, he had a few little teething issues, which you do get with these sort of open cars. Lots of little random things that came up to play as he got it on track. But it looks like he's got this thing absolutely humming. He's really doing well out there.
It certainly hums. It sounds absolutely drop dead gorgeous as it thunders past.
Yeah, not a common thing to turn into a race car, the RV8 either. So again, an MGB chassis underneath, but RV8 panelling. It just looks spectacular. Great addition to the grid for MG Racing. We love a bit of diversity. As we see this thing handle, look how stable it is through these corners.
Yeah, he really hasn't got to try very hard at the moment with so much of an advantage. He's 23 seconds plus 23.6 seconds in front.
There's last year's championship winner Mike Trathen bringing his little midget through the windy bits. Again, great handling vehicle, this one. And Mike absolutely pedals it. He's a really passionate bloke, Mike, and yeah, he loves getting behind the wheel of his road registered MG midget race car. As you see there, he's got the plates on there, still fully registered since the 70s.
Okay. Thunders on down the back straight, jumps onto the brakes and hooks it to the left.
Oh, just proof of why he won the championship last year. He's done well.
Yeah, nice and clean as he very smooth through that corner. Car 46 bar.
Don Bartlett there, he's cross-entered in Group S and MG Racing, so I would have thought he'd be a busy boy this weekend, but again, doing very well with a... he's done a 40 flat, 40.6, 1 minute 40.6 in a little Austin Healey Sprite. That's not bad around Winton.
That's good going indeed.
And again, another cross-entered car, David Badgent from New South Wales, is running Group S and in MG Racing. Again, another really passionate MG owner. Loves to get out and handle his little Sprite. And there's, again, as he has a little whoopsie onto the front straight. See if Jason can take advantage of that into turn one.
Yeah, well, it's I don't think he's going to be able to close the gap.
Nah, doesn't look
But,
like it's affected David much. Throws it
Closes it
inside.
up as they get into the corner, though. There's certainly a bit of a handling aspect, as you say, the front wheel drive coming to play.
Gordon Bunyan there in the Triumph Spitfire, just chasing down Jason there, trying to make him honest.
Yes, of course, that not being an MG is one of the invited cars.
Certainly is. We've got a lot of invited cars generally in the MG field. Again, love a bit of diversity, but you know, opened up to other British sports cars of the similar era that we run at, as Gordon really puts the pressure on Jason. I believe it's Jason's birthday this weekend, so he'll be having an absolute ball running around on track. Not a bad way to spend your birthday.
Yeah, he's got the candle lit.
It's actually interesting hearing where Gordon has evolved this car from originally. Again, a fairly standard car when he first started racing it many years ago, and just slowly tickled away at it, getting it to where it is today. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, got it going very well.
Doing a great job. As the three cars swing onto the extended part of the track. Oh, slow and hand in the air there from 64.
Yeah, looks like David Badgent's going to be out for the weekend. He's had a bit of something go wrong there. Possibly just a bit too much racing this weekend for a little Sprite.
Yes, they can be a little fragile.
Oh, we all can.
At least there's no plumes of smoke coming out, and hopefully there's no oil dropping on the track, but clearly something going amiss on the car.
Oh, look, it's all fixable at the end of the day, isn't it?
That's right. It's just a matter of time and money.
That's it. As we come back to this battle between Hank and John Makem. Hank's just happened to gap John just a little bit on that last lap. See if John can crawl it back a little bit through the sweeper and the windy bits. Yeah, as we see David call it a day.
Yeah,
at least he's driving it off
to the pits.
Again, as we see John crawling back to try and catch up to Hank in the little windy bits.
Closes it right up. Oh, hooks to the outside, trying to make it a run around the outside down in the cleavage.
Oh, he's going to give it a red-hot go here.
If he can hold it out there, he's got the inside run into the next corner. Not able to hold it up.
Making him work, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I'm behind you somewhere. You guess which side I'm going to pass you on.
Again, the power will come in here from the MGB and just walk away a little bit from John.
And of course we are on lap 8 of 8, so we are not very far from the checkered flag of this race.
No, Simon has passed the check and taken the race win for race 3. Well done, Simon. Oh, excuse me, last lap. Sorry.
So he's still making his way around.
He's on his cool down lap by the looks of things. He'll have his elbow out the arm, cruising around.
Yeah, he's probably got the radio turned up, listening to the news, having a bit of a cruise on his way home.
A serious bit of kit, this car. 6-speed sequential, 5-litre Rover V8, full floater rear end with some negative camber in the rear. You know, just a serious motor car in an MGB that looks like an RV8. It's just a grouse piece of kit.
Great machine.
On a Sunday drive by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's certainly not pushing the car terribly hard at all at the moment.
Oh, not a lot of point when there's no competition out there, but hopefully next round at Phillip Island for the Vic State that we are at, you know, there's hopefully some open V8s out there to give Simon a bit of a run for his money.
Yes, those long straights down there require plenty of grunt.
As he comes across the line to take first. Well done, Simon.
Beautiful stuff.
Again, we see our championship winner from last year, Mike Trathen, coming round onto the front straight to bring home second, all going to plan.
So he'll bag a nice little bunch of points for second place, and who knows what could happen at the end of the year.
Oh, look, the championship's all down to the last round with MG Racing. It's you can be winning the championship into the last round and come third overall. So it's a really good point structure that we run in MG Racing. It's really fair. We get 4-cylinder midgets racing against open 5-litre V8s, and just about anyone's got a chance to win.
Good stuff. 36 coming through now. Triumph TR7. MGB and MG Midget.
Yeah, the quintessential MG racing from the 80s, that is. That's, again, some of those cars have been around a long time. Again, we see the MGFs follow quite nicely behind each other to take the checkered. As we see Gordon Bunyan there in the distance, winding his way through.
And I think that we might only have 2 more cars perhaps to come to the finish line, but you can run through the final results there.
Again, Simon Elliott bringing in home in first, followed by Mike Trafford in second, and Don Bartley in the invited British class brings home third, closely followed by Tony Volibert in fourth. Paul Fernall's just wound his way back up to fifth and somehow got John Illingworth across the line or something. He's done well to do that, followed by Alistair Andarchi in number 7, and Hank Zwardoveen and John Makem followed closely by each other. Vince Cusciato in 10 and Jason Edwards in 11. Gordon Bunyan in 12 and Trevor Dunford 13. Got back out there and wound his way back up to 13. Tammy Hodds got back into in 14, and David Badgent has called it a day, and Danny and Ed have called it a weekend before the event.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip for 2 to the 2024 Monaco Historics. The 11-day trip includes airfares, luxury accommodation, Monaco Historic Race hospitality tickets, and $10,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win the all-new Indian motorcycle FTR Sport. Get 10 entries when you take out new Shannons insurance on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive or bike, and 5 entries for new Shannons home insurance. Call Shannons on 134646 or go online today.